You're also an apprentice.
I like looking at things with a little bit more of a design head on. Six Sigma methodology, what does that even mean?
You went straight into the council doing the apprenticeship.
Yep.
Was that intimidating?
A little bit of culture shock, but in a good way. There's so many lovely spreadsheets and it's all documented.
I don't think I've ever heard someone say that
Lovely
before.
spreadsheets.
Yeah.
Lovely spreadsheets.
Do you face much, I guess, resistance or challenge at kind of suggesting new ways to do things?
So obviously, as you can tell, I have opinions.
What is it that drew you in the first place to choose this role, this council?
Bring out the popcorn and just...
I'm Sam,
And I'm Erin.
and this is Dorset Council's podcast, Invisible Impact.
Because the work we do may not always be visible, but the impact is anything but.
So first of all, do you mind just introducing yourself and saying a bit about what you do at the council?
So I am Kim. I am a digital apprentice in the service design team. We are working as a team to better Dorset Council's services, hopefully.
What does sort of the day-to-day look like?
At the moment, it's mostly process mapping. And so what that is, it's like making like flow charts of every single service in the council. And there's quite a lot of them. I think at the moment, like the workload is like 1,000 odd that we need to complete. But it's really fun because we get to talk to like loads of people around the council and basically ask, how does your service work, so that we can map it and so that we understand as a council like what we do.
Can it be quite overwhelming? Because I feel like you would start thinking about the wrong service and getting people confused and, oh, are you doing the one that does this process or are you the one that does this process? Because if that's like 1,000...
Yeah, there are loads. It is very big and very complex, but there's so many lovely spreadsheets and it's all documented, trying to keep them as organised as possible, and it's lovely.
I don't think I've ever heard someone say that
Lovely
before.
spreadsheets.
Yeah.
Lovely spreadsheets.
And you're also an apprentice?
Yes.
So what are you studying?
So I'm an improvement practitioner. And I am looking mainly at like Six Sigma methodology, if you've ever heard of that. Okay. It's like how you can like help businesses be as efficient as possible. It's mostly used in like manufacturing and just helping the process be as smooth as possible. So there's a little bit of correlation between like the improvement practitioner and then service design. Because I can kind of like look at a process and go, this might help with helping that like be a little bit more smooth and all of that fun stuff. But yeah.
Excellent.
How long have you been doing that for?
10 months now. Not very long.
And just you went straight into the council doing the apprenticeship.
Yep.
Was that intimidating?
Yes. So I came straight out of university and didn't know about the working world whatsoever. Came out of doing an art degree as well, so even further removed from kind of like more corporate businessy things, and then coming onto the apprenticeship and having to learn like an entirely new like language. I mean, just the term I mentioned just now, Six Sigma methodology, what does that even mean? Like coming into it, like I had no idea. But I knew I'd be interested in it because, I don't know, I quite like my organisation. I like making sure that everything works right. But yeah.
Was there any culture shocks coming into not just a big workplace, but a public sector, local government workplace?
Not like culture shock, but I was definitely very surprised how different it was. So when I came in first, there were loads of people in my team that were really confused why I wanted to watch the council committee meetings all the time. But it's just because I found it so interesting and it was really different. So not like culture shock, but just kind of like, oh, look at all the fun stuff I can learn. And there's literally like so much stuff that I can learn, especially in service design, where you can like jump between services and talk to so many people. But yeah, so a little bit of culture shock, but in a good way.
I mean, I've never heard anyone talk about the committee meetings like that either.
No, it is quite a unique thing though, isn't it?
But I think there's always been like a little part where I'm like kind of interested in the politics and also like how things work. So going into like the committee meetings and like seeing like what actually goes on behind like the closed doors, and like finding out all of these things, like, you know, members of the public can actually just attend these things, and I don't think people realise that, because I didn't know that. But yeah, I just find it really interesting, just seeing how everything works.
Art degree, that's quite different from what you're doing now. Is there anything that, you know, from that degree, that learning, that you're able to bring into your current role?
Definitely design thinking. So I think a lot of people, when they come into things like, say, service design, they come on with a little bit more of a like business analyst head on, where it's like it's coming from like the company and potentially thinking maybe a little bit rigid, because it's like, oh, I'm looking at a process, like this is something that needs to be like rigid and everything needs to be in its place. But coming with like a kind of a more like arty head on, I don't know, it's easier for I find it's easier to look at these things like a bit more creatively. So I think looking at it from like a design point of view, I've like already kind of got the design like method in my head. Like I understand that I've got to like understand the entire picture and then have like blue sky thinking.
You know all the phrases.
All the lingo.
Yeah, all the lingo.
How long? 10 months and you already know all the phrases.
I try not to use the lingo, but when you're embedded in it, you kind of absorb it. But yeah, it's I like looking at things with a little bit more of a design head on. But yeah, it scratches the itch as well, the creative itch, I think, in service design, because it's being creative while still like doing some like proper, like really interesting stuff, like services and like how the council runs. Like that's quite important. But yeah.
You haven't found any opportunities for drawing yet? Not yet.
Not yet.
You might find something.
Yeah, I mean, I'll try my best. Like I think the closest I got, I was like storyboarding. I think I was like storyboarding like an idea for like a video in Youth Voice or something. But yeah, that's the closest I got to actually doing
storyboarding a process would be a good like, or like a process map. You could do a little storyboard on that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it'd just be me drawing like, I don't know, like big servers, like the information goes here and then it comes out like.
You might scratch a little bit of that.
Yeah.
You said that kind of at the moment there's a lot of process mapping and going around with all these different teams and things. Is there anyone or any team that you kind of worked with or like done something with that you're a bit surprised or like, I didn't know that was a thing or anything? Yeah,
not surprised, but the waste team is amazing. Like all of their systems talk to one another, and when we were process mapping that, shout out to the waste team, honestly, it was so good.
Shout out to the waste team.
They've just got everything figured out, and it was really refreshing to like talk to them and go, oh yes, you know, we understand like, you know, which parts of the process, you know, need to be amended. Like they understood everything. They knew like where their strong points were and where their weak points were. And so as like service designers, we were just like nodding, going, yes, you've done the work for us, thank you. But yeah, it was really nice doing the process mapping with waste.
You mentioned to us that you've got some really good organisational skills, which you like to use. Is there any work you've been involved in where you've been able to sort of put those to good use and create something you're proud of?
So in service design, we use a little tool called Miro.
This is when the laptop comes.
Yeah, I mean, it's all the way over there. But yeah, I'd show my Miro boards. It's I find it really fun to organise things on that, just because coming from like doing art, you know, when I was in university, Miro has like a very like creative vibe, and it's just really easy to like, you know, digitize stuff that originally, you know, service designers would be putting post-its up and then things would get lost and there's bits of paper and post-its flying everywhere. But on Miro, it's literally just like everything's there, and like I've learned all the shortcut keys. It's a thing of beauty. I love a good bit of kit. Like, just give me a good software any day and I am like the happiest person ever.
Amazing. Have you ever had the thing where you're sharing your board and someone nudges it though?
Yes, but you can go in and you can lock.
I was going to say,
There's
how
a
big
tip.
of a locker are you?
Yeah, I'm a locker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep things nice and...
Absolutely. It's so nice because you just lock the background and then everything's safe, you know? And no one can come in and edit it.
Do you like that outside of work? It's not locking, but the organisational...
What do you mean?
Like, are you as organised? Because I know some people are very organised in work and maybe not as much, or the other way
True.
around.
Yeah.
A lot of that organisation does... I think I'm organised at home, except like my room is just a mess. It's a tip, but everything digital.
Nice.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So it's just the techie stuff organised, everything else.
Just bomb site.
I guess you're kind of interested, you know, you mentioned about the committee meetings and enjoying, I guess with local government there's a lot of tradition and sort of ways things were done. Do you face much, I guess, resistance or challenge at kind of suggesting new ways to do things?
Yes. Like the longer, I know I've only been here like 10 months, but the longer I'm here, like I do understand why things are a certain way. But yes, there are sometimes like points where I think, you know, this shouldn't really be like a huge problem, but yeah, I guess like with like a company or an organisation like as big as Dorset Council is, like things do kind of get a bit, I don't know.
That's the way we've always done things.
Yeah. Like again, it's like the culture thing.
Yeah, there is. I think there is sometimes the kind of element of we'll get the younger, fresher people in, so they come up with new ideas. But then when the new ideas are suggested, we don't listen to them.
Yeah.
So that can sometimes cause frustration on both sides, I would say.
But yeah, I think like people are like it is hard to kind of adapt to things, but I think Dorset Council they are doing like kind of a lot better than a lot of other councils sometimes. There's definitely like a more ingrained culture in like other councils and other organisations. So I think Dorset Council is doing like really well. In my perspective, as a young person coming in, I was expecting less innovation. I don't know. From my outside point of view, coming in, I was surprised. I was like, oh wow, this is good. You know, I wasn't expecting this. Well done.
What is it that drew you in the first place to choose this role, this council?
Well, this role in particular, because it had design in the name. And yes, it is scratching the creative itch, so I love it. Dorset Council, mainly just because I grew up here, And plus, I still do really like the branding, and especially from the outside looking in, I was like, ooh, it would be really fun to see like how the branding team does things. And so now that I'm actually here, I'm like, yes, there's a method here, and I really want to get involved with it.
You want to get your fingers on it.
Yeah, absolutely. Shout out branding team.
Love the shout. So, I imagine, are there tough days, and what sort of gets you through those, or, what do you do to sort of reset after a tough day?
Coffee.
After a tough day, you have coffee or before?
Yeah. After. That's my special treat. Normally I don't allow myself to have like more than 2 coffees a day, because otherwise I get jittery. But if I've had a tough day, I deserve it.
Fair.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
I feel like most people would want to wind down after a tough day,
No.
whereas you're like, give me more
hype up.
energy.
Yeah.
But then you get the sketchbook out.
Exactly.
And, yeah.
Exactly. See? Yeah.
Headphones on and
Yeah.
zone out.
Absolute. See, you know my process. But I think after having like a tough day in the office, tough day. I mean, I never actually really have a tough day. I really enjoy it. But coming back, if I want to de-stress, drawing. Literally, headphones on, sketchbook.
What sort of things do you draw? So we've
So,
got
yes.
your dinosaur you did
My
up
dinosaur.
here, which is Kim up there,
Yeah.
now called Kim.
Now Thank you. I feel so honoured. But yes, I come from an animation background, so I draw a lot of cartoons. I would like to do a children's animated show one day in the future. Maybe when I'm old and grey, I can like spend my retirement making a children's animated show. Who knows? But yeah, so a lot in my sketchbook, it's just like drawing cartoons and remembering how to animate. Because it's been a while since I've animated.
So is it one of those flip books where you draw on each page and...
No, so it's mainly just planning the animations in my sketchbook, and then I go on my laptop and I have another animation software which I can draw on. So that is like what the proper animators use, where it's like, on the digital software making the animations. It's been a while. It's been
like
a while.
2D, like old Disney films.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Do uni friends?
Yeah.
Uni friends, yes.
Yeah. It's just about how they don't really understand what you do.
Oh, yeah, I had a really long conversation with one of my university friends about like what service design was, and she listened to me the entire way, bless her. And I was like, okay, so the way I'd explain service design is if you want a bin and the service hasn't been made yet, there's like, how would you go about that? Like, we're the ones that design the process of how to get the bin.
I feel like there's probably even
Yeah,
simpler
I'm
way.
sure there's other.
She listened to me that entire way. I think she was a little bit confused because this was the first time I explained it to someone. Like another way I've explained it is like, oh, say you want to design the process for like a supermarket selling goods, like, and a supermarket has never existed before. Okay, so you've got to think, well, how is the person going to purchase the products from all these different companies? Well, we've got to have aisles, we've got to have people to take people's money at the tills, like we've got to make sure that, they got something to put their items in. I think I confused her, but it's fine.
What did your uni friends say about kind of working for council?
They thought they're always quite surprised because I think obviously working together on like group projects in animation, everyone thinks, oh, we're all going to go into like arty jobs, like graphic design, illustration, animation. And then when I turn around and go, oh, I'm actually working in local government now. Where did that come from? So yeah, they are always quite surprised. But I think a lot of my friends are very into like the same things that I am. They're into how things work. And one of my friends is really into politics. So she agrees with me about the committee meetings.
Did you watch them together with the popcorn?
I tried to get her to watch them, but she was too busy cooking chicken. She didn't
Priorities,
want to watch.
yeah.
You could do both.
I mean, she was listening very intently. And then I was just complaining about jargon.
About the use of jargon. Do you think that's a thing that in the council is a bit of a problem?
Oh, yeah. Oh, workflow. That really confused me at the start. When I first started in service design, everyone kept saying, oh, we've got to change the workflow. And, you know, it kept being mentioned, like, they'd use it as, like, a subject, you know, the workflow. And I went through and I kept hearing it, so I was like, it must be a piece of software. It must be a piece of software, because people are using it like they're talking about a thing. And then I find out it's just a term for the workflow itself, like doing the work. It's like, why?
Do you think we need to do better as a council, kind of, with these younger people and these coming in?
Yes.
To make them feel more supported and comfortable in ways like jargon, but maybe also kind of in the support they get?
It's understanding, I think, the audience. I think it is fine using jargon in the council when, say, you're in the same team, you use the same language. Yes, it is fair. But I think it's understanding the audience, not assuming that people understand. Like, especially when I'm talking to people who are a bit younger than me, say they're still at university, there were some people who, when I said, what was it? I think I said like work culture, and they looked at me and they're like, what does that mean? And then I said the word jargon and they're like, what does that mean? And then I think they didn't understand what or who a chief executive was. And like, to be honest, I didn't understand what a chief executive was when I was younger either. It's like not something that is important to people coming out of school. So, you know, it's like understanding who you're talking to, what their experience actually is. Will they actually relate to what I'm talking about? So obviously, as you can tell, I have opinions, but
Everyone does.
well, opinions underlined. But yeah, it's about, I think, jargon itself isn't necessarily awful. It's a way of communicating things faster sometimes, as long as you understand the audience that you're communicating to, and not assuming that people understand. Like, I don't know. Like, even me just talking now where I'm, like, caveating everything, like, oh, do you know what Power Automate is? Like, oh, you know, digital champions, they do X, Y, and Z. Like, I'm not assuming that you guys understand, if that makes sense, but...
Do you think, you were saying about people not really knowing chief exec or anything like, do you think we, as a council, should do more to kind of increase the knowledge and understanding, and from like you were saying, meet people where they are rather than just kind of putting our own ways?
I think that it is important, and it's about literally understanding, as I said, like the audience. So as a council, yes, I think it depends. Like, I'm thinking about work experience roles, for example. I've recently done a project on work experience and how, like, we can get more young people into the offer. It's about understanding who are we talking to. We can't use the basic roles, like role descriptions, for work experience, because this is meant to be an entry point for them. We can't use acronyms like PA and expect them to know what that means. And also, PA could mean a lot of different things. It could mean passenger assistant. It could mean personal assistant. It, you know, even for us who potentially understand what that means, we shouldn't assume that people know instantly which PA we mean. But yeah, this is what I mean by opinions highlighted, underlined. Like, I have an opinion and it is very specific. But yeah, that would be kind of my thought on it. Like, yes, I think the council has a responsibility to understand the audience and use communication effectively to that, to that appropriate audience, if that makes sense.
What is your impact on Dorset Council?
Oh my goodness. Well, at the moment, it is standardising most of the way that we do things around the council. So in service design, especially with the process mapping, sometimes in the council, it's such a large organisation, so it becomes tricky to understand what certain teams do. So I think right now service design are doing amazing in terms of actually understanding what the council does, and being able to look at it with a step back, if that makes sense. Because I feel like to improve and to benefit people who are using the services, we need to actually understand what we do, and if there's discrepancy between one person thinking we do it one way and then another person who's oh, actually I do it this way. It's important to be on the same page, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, that at the moment, I think, would be my answer to what the impact is.
What would be your main kind of takeaway, lesson, last thing for someone to think about?
I think just being empathetic to other people's perspectives. Yeah, I think that would be the most important one.
I like that.
Kindness.
Perfect. Okay.
There we go, one-liner. Oh man.